means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to the Vice President. Let me begin by wishing the President and the First Lady a full and speedy recovery from the COVID-19 illness that they are now dealing with. Of course, we wish the same for my colleagues in the Congress, as well as the many, many millions of Americans who are struggling with this terrible disease. What the last few days have told us is if there was ever any doubt, it should now be clear that no one is safe from this pandemic. It doesn't matter if you are a frontline worker in a hospital, and I want to take a moment to thank all of the doctors and the nurses and the medical personnel who have put their lives on the line to protect all of us. And it doesn't matter if you are an essential worker in a supermarket, if you are a packing house worker, if you are a bus driver, and it doesn't matter if you are the President of the United States. Each and every one of us is vulnerable, and we will remain vulnerable until there is a vaccine or a perfected cure. That is the reality, and there is no way to get away from that. There are some who say that we have to make a choice between having a strong economy and protecting the American people from this terrible disease. I disagree. The truth is, we will never have a strong economy so long as this pandemic continues to surge, as it is today. We will never have a strong economy if people are afraid to go to work, afraid to go to school, afraid to shop, afraid to have dinner at a restaurant, or afraid to do all of the things that we normally do. We will never have a strong economy unless we get this pandemic under control. Is the solution to this crisis to shut down the economy and lock everybody in their homes? No, it is not. We can keep our country moving forward if we do so in a way that is disciplined, not dangerous, that is responsible, not reckless. And now I want to ask you and the American people some very simple questions. Which candidate for president has shown that he will be disciplined, that he will be responsible in dealing with this pandemic? Which candidate for president has made it clear that he will develop policies based on the advice of the best scientists in our country and the world? In the worst public health crisis of the last 100 years, we need Joe Biden as our president. And now let me say a word about the economy. And let me be blunt, tell you the way it is. And that is that the working class of this country is in more desperation today than at any time since the Great Depression of the 1930s. That is a fact. It is a sad fact, but that is the truth. Tens of millions of our fellow citizens have lost their jobs as a result of this pandemic. They have lost their incomes. They have lost their health insurance. They have depleted their life savings. They cannot afford to pay their rent or their mortgages. And in too many cases, in the richest country on earth, they cannot afford to put food on the table for their kids. Today, the percentage of Americans who lack employment is at the highest level in 45 years, while tens of millions of Americans who do have jobs are often working part-time for starvation wages. And as bad as the economy is in general, it is far worse for the African American and Latino communities. During this pandemic, nearly 60% of Latino families and 55% of African American families have either experienced a job loss or a pay cut. How devastating is that? Meanwhile, and it is important to make this point because it is not made often enough, while the working class of this country is being devastated as a result of the pandemic, not everybody in America is hurting. The truth is that at a time of massive income and wealth inequality, over the last 6 months, that situation has gotten even more grotesque. In the last number of months, 643 billionaires, that's not a lot of people, have seen their wealth go up by $845 billion. And let me just say that again. While 30 million Americans have lost their jobs, while 12 million Americans have lost their health insurance, while 29 million Americans do not have enough food to eat, while 40 million of our people face eviction, 643 billionaires increased their wealth by $845 billion over the last 6 months alone. So that is the state of the economy today. Simple truth is that the very, very rich are getting much, much richer, while nearly everybody else is struggling or getting poorer. And let us be very